Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another
it!
one! Another one!
Huge hole. He's at the 30. He's going to go. 10, 5, touchdown. Jonathan Taylor.
Works out by Burke. Bounces into Cody. Puts it up. Scores!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Welcome aboard on this Monday, and it is college football time. It is a whole lot of things. It's like Christmas. Don Fischer's here. Charlie Miller will be with us as well. So, Don, welcome on. It is, like I said, it's like Christmas for us, having you, as well as the opening of college football. I guess this past weekend for weekend 0, but if you're a Hoosier fan, that comes this Saturday in Iowa City, and looking forward to it.
Well, I think we all are. It's been an interesting offseason, to say the least, and one in which I think Indiana has finally gotten back after the COVID issues and the pandemic and all these kinds of things that took place last year that knocked them out of preparation and those kinds of things. And then coming off and having a 6-2 year, a bowl game, obviously, that they would look back on now and say, well, that didn't come out quite the way we would have liked. But they were hamstrung a little bit with all the COVID issues they had at the end of last season. Obviously, the last game against Purdue canceled because of COVID with both programs, and they were hamstrung from a practice perspective leading up to that bowl game. So I'm throwing that one out as an anomaly, and I'm saying that this Indiana football team with 17 starters back, 9 on offense, 8 on defense, a whole bunch of kids coming in out of the transfer portal, this is a football team that I think people are going to be very excited about. I certainly am, without question. And I think this is from top to bottom, and I'm talking about from a physical standpoint, and what Aaron Wellman has done as the strength and conditioning coach for this football team. What he has done has been amazing. This is the best looking Indiana football team physically I think I've seen in my 49 years of doing Indiana play-by-play.
Wow. And that's a bold statement, especially they were on the path over the last couple of years of raising everything across the board physically, like you said, with the guys that left and went to Alabama. But then you go the route of the NFL, and that just raises it another level. And it just seems like everything about this program, Don, has been raised another level, from the coaching, the players, the talent. Aaron Wellman, everything across the board has gone to another level.
I think that is absolutely true. We have a lot of expectations for this football team, and you don't want to get carried away with it and have a big letdown of any kind. But I don't think this team is going to do that for Indiana fans. I think this is a football team that's legit. They're ranked preseason 17. The team that they're going to face in the first game is Iowa, who is ranked 18th. So you're going to get a real test at the very beginning of what this team is capable of doing. But I'm not concerned about it from that perspective. I don't think the expectations are too high at this juncture. This team has set their sights on a Big Ten championship. They believe that they're capable of doing that. And Tom Allen, a couple of years ago said, we're not saying that anymore, because I don't think we deserve to say that. Now he's saying, I'm letting these kids talk about a Big Ten championship because that's what our goal is.
And I know, Charlie, you don't get a chance to follow the football as much, especially with busy as you are, but Indiana football, obviously not quite the same as it was when you were in school. It has taken up a leap that I never could have imagined, having been in school back in the Mallory era when it was fun. But this is a different level, and there's not a team, Don. I've said this. I don't believe that there is a team on their schedule that they cannot beat, and that includes Ohio State. They showed that last year. But doing that is another thing. They're going to have some tough tests along the way, but the first one is the tough one to begin with, on the road at Iowa. You've got fans back for the first time in 2 seasons. That is going to be great and problematic for Indiana to open the season because they're going to be on the road, but it's going to be fun. And I think this team welcomes that. I think they still have that chip on their shoulder, and I think they welcome a challenge like being on the road in the Big Ten.
Well, I would agree. This team believes in itself. That's the one thing that has been missing for a long time. The players believing in themselves, believing that they're capable of doing something. If you look at any good program and look at all the Indiana basketball teams through those years under Bob Knight, every one of those teams went out on the floor expecting to win. They knew that they were capable of doing that. And we haven't seen that out of an Indiana football team in a long time. And maybe the last time was, I don't know, a couple of years ago, obviously, when they went 8-4. But I don't think a lot of people, and that team didn't beat all of the good teams they beat a year ago. So that year that they had last season gave them that confidence, that understanding that we can beat these guys. They're not unbeatable. And without question, they'll go in this year, I think, with a different attitude than they've ever really had before.
And Charlie, you talk about it all the time, believing and believing in yourself and believing in your abilities. That's part of what you teach every day, man.
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, it's right on. How you doing, Don? Earlier, I had some technical difficulties. I couldn't hear you guys, but no, I mean, what Don said, I mean, I got goosebumps literally because that's what it takes. Like if you think about it, the facility got upgraded several years ago. And I think everything got raised. I mean, the weight room facility is brand new. I think it's all catching up. And to hear when you can understand that aspect of Don's talking about, players believe like what they're saying. Like, it's not just talk. It's not just theory. Like they actually believe themselves. I mean, this is going to be a force to be reckoned with. So I'm excited about the football season myself this year as well.
Well, Don, we get to start off with a game that for fans, they some of them call it the Bartlett Bowl because you had the Gary Bartlett, the AD. They thought dealt with the way they dealt with Ohio State last year, but the players don't care about that stuff. The players are focused because you talked about believing. They believe in themselves. They believe in the team, but they are very, very focused. In Big Ten media days, if there was not a common denominator, they all talked about blinders and earmuffs. They are all on the same page. That's the most important thing. I've never seen a team, a program, anything more on the same page than I have the Indiana football program under Tom Allen.
Well, I think that's the one thing, too. When you look, and Tom Allen has done a remarkable job in the sense, this first couple of years as the head coach, they couldn't quite get it done. They weren't getting it done to the level of which his expectations were. But he has stuck with it. He hasn't changed his philosophy. He has basically built a culture at Indiana built on LEO, love each other. And when you looked at last year's post games, the things that those kids were doing after they beat somebody, that Wisconsin game was unbelievable. They were interviewing Tom Allen on the field after that ball game. The kids are running up behind him and patting him on the back and hammering him on the shoulder and yelling at the camera, "You need to come play for this guy. This is the greatest coach ever," that kind of thing. You can't buy that kind of advertising.
So organic.
Oh man. Yeah. And that's beyond the buy-in model. Those kids are committed.
Right.
And when you stick with a philosophy like he has, win, lose, or draw, you put players before your system and you make that system work around the players you have. They have all committed to believing where they are right now. So that's what I'm hearing. That's awesome.
Yep.
And doing this in football, Don, you mentioned earlier that you're going into your 49th year in broadcasting. Congratulations, by the way. We skipped over that. That's not exactly a small feat. But you've seen it. You've seen Indiana football. I was in school here and saw the ups and downs, but what Tom Allen has done and how he has done it, it is a mind boggler because this is in an era where the Big Ten is stronger. You've got these teams that are harder to beat. Ohio State has reached a different echelon of their program. And for Tom Allen to do what he has done when he's done it, it's been an amazing thing to watch.
Well, it has. And it's not been overnight. It's taken some time, but he's stuck with the process. And you hear that word all the time, and maybe some people think it's overused, but it's not. It is a process. You have to build it. Sometimes it happens quicker for some programs than it does for others. There are all kinds of factors that are involved in this. But Tom Allen is a guy who believes in his philosophy. He believes in the culture that he's built, and the players now believe in that culture as well.
Right.
The buy-in has been absolutely 100%. If you don't like it, you leave. It's that simple. And you can leave in a heartbeat these days because of the transfer portal.
Right.
So it's not a difficult thing to do. But you don't see a lot of guys leaving this Indiana football program, and without question, they like what they see. And to bring in 8 guys out of the portal this year, 6 of those guys from high Division I ranked football programs, and 3 or 4 of those guys are going to be impact players immediately on this football team. That tells you the buy-in by other people. And having watched this from outside the program, these people I want to be there. This is a place I'd love to play. I want to play for that guy. So you've got something special going here. And I don't care what happens in game 1. I just believe that this football program is on the right track and that this football team is as well.
You cover Indiana and you've done it for so long. And it's expectations. You're not necessarily someone we think is going to have expectations, but you do have those going into the season because you've been doing it for so long. What are your expectations, not just for the football programs? We look around this athletics program right now, you have to be just giddy with basketball following it with the excitement around that. And I know you don't cover these other 3, but women's basketball, men's soccer, all these programs that have risen up here of late, the swimming program again, Indiana athletics is just really rising high right now.
Well, the one thing that you can say, and the university did absolutely the right thing, is they hired Scott Dolson as the new athletic director. And you can say what you want to about previous ADs. I'm not saying anything negative about these guys at all. All I'm telling you is there is somebody, and now in the program, that has been there, has been through the wars, knows all the backgrounds, knows the history of the school, was a graduate of IU and a manager for the basketball program under Bob Knight. He saw the good years and what that program produced. He knows what he's doing in that regard. That's why I think, and some of these programs, obviously soccer has been tremendous at Indiana for many, many years. The swimming program has never been really down. It's never been as negative in some areas as some of the other sports have been. But the programs that have had any kind of a tradition, all those seem to be back at this point in time. And the hire of Mike Woodson was absolutely genius. But as genius as it was to hire Thad Matta as a guy that's going to help with this program under Mike Woodson's tutelage, I just think every move that could be made here in the last 6 months or so has been absolutely the right move. And again, we've seen the positive stuff from the football program. Soccer is back in top form again, and it has been forever. And actually, it's never been gone. It maybe had 1 or 2 years in the last 50 that were just average at best. But unbelievable program in itself. And without doubt, women's basketball, Terry Moran has done a remarkable job herself in regard to women's basketball and what they've been able to accomplish. So there's no question. I don't think there's been a more exciting time in the last 25 years to be an Indiana athletics fan.
You've got game 1 this weekend, Don, at Iowa City on Saturday afternoon, 3:30 contest. That's going to be on the Big Ten Network, but nobody cares about that. They listen to you. What are you looking forward to in this game besides Indiana winning? I mean, I know that I say that I don't have I try to be down the media of the road as far as that goes. But yeah, I'd rather Indiana wins. It's a hell of a lot more fun to cover a winner. So from that standpoint, I definitely would want to see Indiana win. But going into this weekend, I think they are going to win this game. Iowa's had some trouble getting off the quick starts. I think Indiana is ready to go, and I think they're going to be a lot stronger than people think, especially defensively.
Well, the defense, Charlton Warren has come on as the new coordinator on the defensive side of the football. And I have heard nobody say anything negative about this guy. They think that he is the real deal. He'll take right over where Kane Womack left off. And Kane, of course, congratulations to him for getting the job at South Alabama. There's no doubt that this program's defense has been the Achilles heel for many, many years. It's no longer the Achilles heel. It may be one of the real strengths of this football team and maybe the strength of this football team. We'll have to wait and see on that. But I think the offensive side of the ball is improved. There's no doubt in my mind about that. The defensive side of the football, I think, is just as good and maybe even better than it was a year ago, and that's saying something.
That is saying a lot. Don Fischer, the voice of the Indiana Hoosiers. Look for him. The coaches show starts this week as well, right, on Wednesday?
7:05, we had a new location. We're at Southern Stone, the restaurant on West Patterson down in Bloomington. Very nice facility. The gentleman that owns that facility is building a new restaurant. I think it's called Hoosier Hanks. It's the old Colorado Steakhouse. It's being redone. And that will be our new home at some point. If it's not this year, it will be next year. But we've got some really exciting things going on from that standpoint as well. But right now it's Southern Stone, and it's a nice facility. It's a great restaurant. Yeah. Our older generation of fans that come to those shows all the time will love it.
Absolutely. Don, look forward to it. Look forward to hearing you on the radio. Thank you so much for joining us, man. We appreciate it. Look forward to another season of Hoosier Sports.
Guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Charlie, nice seeing you again, man.
Great to see you, Don. Great to see you, Don.
The great Don Fischer joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. We've got tons more coming up. Charlie is with us. We'll be back with that right after this on Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans, whether you're looking for a... Okay, our breaks changed a little bit, so... We're just.
It's not going to be too bad. The only major thing is that you just got to end 4 minutes early. That's the only real major thing you got to worry about.
Which is no big deal. Just I got to make sure I get him out when he needs it. I don't know if he has one more to do after that or not.
That was good timing anyway. So,
Charlie, how are you, brother? I know we didn't get that in there.
Didn't
get that one in as good as much as I'd like, but
it's fine.
How was your week? Hey, how was the weekend? Any remnants from? We have to talk about New Orleans. Haven't mentioned them yet, but any remnants from that?
No, nothing at all in Dallas. Nothing at all as far as weather. But I know in New Orleans they got hit a little bit with that storm.
Oh no, New Orleans was completely out of power. The entire town.
Man.
Wow. Alfonso Allen decommits from Arizona State. IU players hard at work on him already.
He's a safety.
I mean, dude, Indiana does – their players are doing as much recruiting.
Think about it, because they're going to tell you – they're going to tell the
truth. Exactly.
Because it is so easy now to say – I want to put my name in the transfer portal. So they're going to be like, hey, man, this is the place to come if you're going to do that. Or, there's no need to leave. Like we have an opportunity to become like an Alabama. Like you have an opportunity to actually create that. So I think that's what they're seeing.
And, as crazy as that sounds, what you just said, becoming Alabama, now nowhere, every place can become an Alabama now.
Exactly.
And with Tom Allen doing it the right way, the balance to become an Alabama, though, to do this at that level.
Yeah.
I think it becomes so hard. And this would be a great conversation because he has made, man, I hate to lose this, the organics.
Just say it, write it down.
I am writing it down. Let's see. What else is new, Charlie?
Oh, that's it, man. I got a new mic and a new camera.
Oh man,
I'm using my computer, so this is a really good thing.
It does sound a little clearer, so that's good.
Awesome. Yeah, so I got a mic. Yeah, I got a mic. I got a mic here.
Look at him.
Yeah, man. Growing up, I got a camera. Got a camera on my computer. So
if we got 10 seconds, we'll go ahead and bring us back.
Dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat. It is Monday. Hey, want to give a shout out to the folks down in the Louisiana area, New Orleans, and all those areas around there, Charlie, that got hit. Was it Hurricane Ida that came ashore? One of the it may have been the strongest hurricane that ever actually hit, sustained there, even bigger than 16 years ago to the day, by the way, for Katrina, which is crazy. Yeah. How crazy is that when that stuff happens like that? The entire town of New Orleans knocked out of power last night when I was watching, at least. I don't know where they are, but that would just, man, not having power, water, just none of that sounds fun. But you know and I hope that everyone's okay. The good thing is I haven't heard a lot about injuries or anything like that. But you know the one thing I kept thinking of past people getting hurt is all I kept thinking of is Louisiana. I think of poisonous snakes, all them swamps. And I'm thinking, how many poisonous snakes did this hurricane just throw out into the southeast part of the country where they didn't live before? Seriously.
I hear that.
I hate snakes, man. I hate snakes.
I hear that.
How was your weekend?
It was good. Good weekend. Spent the majority of it on the court, which is always a good thing for me. I keep myself open to learning, so it's always great. It was a relaxing weekend, not too much, no travel, no camps. So home, see the kids and the wife, and it was great.
Awesome to have you back. Let's see. Wyatt says he did see the levees held. Had to get that song out. The levee held. Great news for people down there. Absolutely. Indian Creek Walker was thinking Gators. Yeah, that's probably more over on. They don't run fast enough. Snakes run. Yeah, no. Gators. Snakes run. Gators follow. Yeah. Sometimes you don't have. If you can't see them, you can't see them.
Yeah.
But the camp season kind of winding down.
Yeah.
Schools are, people are going back to school. Not over. There's still some probably personal camps that'll be happening. Right. You never know what can pop up. Working on something to that effect. Also, for those of you listening that do not have tickets to the Idaho game, we are going to have some giveaways here. And let's see. We're going to have a total of 4 tickets for the Idaho game with a parking pass. I don't know if I'm going to do 2 and 2. Charlie, should I do 2 and 2 or 4? It's always easier to get 2 people than it is to get 4 people.
Say, 2. I think 2 and 2 sounds better.
But there is a parking pass. Maybe I'll take the parking pass and use that to tailgate on.
That's right.
I need a parking pass, but but we're going to have some tickets to give away for the Idaho game, which is 2 weeks from now. So we're going to figure out, come up with an idea, folks. How should we how should we give those away? Robert needs some coffee. So trust me, what's my name? He's the Creek Walker. Yeah, there you go. But yeah, man, a weekend that saw the opening of college football, Charlie, and one of those games,
Illinois,
Nebraska, and Illinois.
Yeah.
The storyline there, of course, you've got Scott Frost, Scott Frost has been getting in a little trouble. He's under NCAA investigation right now. He's got a new AD. He did the stuff last year where he went off campus. And he's not been winning. So getting off to an important start for them was very important, because I think it's bowl or bust for Scott Frost in Nebraska this year with that new AD in there. And losing to Illinois in Brett Bielema's debut, you got a guy that's been at a school for his first game. You've been at the school for 4 years. Illinois fired Lovie Smith because he won 2 games last year. Right. You just lost to that team. And you lost to them by fumbling on was it a kickoff? I think they fumbled on the goal line that was turned into a touchdown. I didn't get to watch much of the game, so I didn't see a lot of the other stuff. But when that kind of stuff happens, I know it's the beginning of the season, but man, there's no margin for error for people like Scott Frost.
Well, again, you lose against a team that you traditionally used to beat. You're on the hot seat. That's not a good way to start the season. And, because you may have to also be accountable every single week to your AD, right? Athletic director or the powers that be. So hopefully there's a little room for him. I'm hoping things turn around, but yeah, that's not a good way to start.
Nope, not at all. And he's not the only coach in a little bit of hot water. How about Chris Mack at Louisville?
Yeah,
man, Louisville is just, I say this over and over, but they just can't get out of their own way. You go back to, you could go back as far as you want, but just to the Pitino stuff. And even though he was never named in any of it, he's the only coach that got fired so far, which is kind of funny. But yet he has nothing to do with this. And again, they just can't get out of their own way. There is stuff that people don't even know about. Having lived down there, the non-athletic stuff, there was 2 different instances, I think, where a professor or a head of a department siphoned off money from grants. So, and I'm not saying that stuff's still going on. They've got a new president in there, Neely Bendapudi, who she seems like, someone that's going to do a good job for them. But I remember seeing a video of Chris Mack. He was drinking and they were making a goofy video. It went on Twitter this year. Most coaches are not in that position to have a video of them drinking and having fun with somebody and have it shot out on Twitter, because usually someone that's hanging out with a coach of that stature knows that's not something that needs to go out on Twitter.
That's right.
And the people around them. So that makes me wonder, who are you hanging with? What's your mindset? Where are you thinking wise, especially at a school like Louisville, where there should be 0 tolerance for anything right now? I know it's a lot of stuff, Charlie.
No. I mean, first, I think, that's probably a part of the process of when you were hired. I think the do's and don'ts, right? I mean, because you got to also think about your future. Yeah. Because that,
number one had to be, don't do anything wrong.
Yeah. Once you press in, man, you can't get that back. So that's now going to be out there, right? Well, you can say, hey, I had a good time. Hey, I make mistakes. That's great. But now double whammy when you're still under investigation and things aren't cleared from the basketball standpoint. And now you got that stuff coming. And that's the thing. It's like, how much do you want to deal with? That's the thing about it. How much because now you have to continue to deflect media. We have anything under control, so then to me, the athletic director has to answer to the president, which now has to answer to the board of trustees. So it's like this whole cluster of stuff that you just don't want, especially as school is beginning. I think a lot of schools are just starting, if not this week, last week. You don't want this kind of stuff going on with your programs, especially basketball.
James Elliott says, I didn't see Scott Frost on the football field playing. I'm not sure what he means by that. No, he's their coach. He's held to a higher standard, the highest standard. But I'm not sure what your meaning is for sure. But and Ross says this Louisville mess could help with the Glenn recruitment. Help. I think it's going to secure the Glenn recruitment. I think Indiana, I think I said this on the air already. I think Indiana is going to get a kid from Louisville Male High School. That should never happen. He's a 4-star from Louisville, a school there right in the middle of town.
Right.
Between Louisville and Kentucky, that kid should never get out of state. Never, never, never. And that never used to happen because Kentucky's not a state that produces a ton of high-end talent. So when they do, it usually is going to go there. But I think that is a statement that is absolutely right. I think that it is going to help immensely, because I think Indiana is probably in good position with Caleb, this kid, and I think this is going to help further that because what I just talked about. You look at that stuff that Chris Mack's involved, and you're thinking about getting to the league. There's nothing about getting to the league that's in any of this. Mike Woodson is all talking about that and working on that and getting players to do that. That I think that they're going to see that. And we talk about the Bahamas and what went on there, and they see the improvement in Tamar Bates getting to play and his opportunities. All of that stuff, absolutely, I think will come in to play for recruitment.
Well, also what's going to come into play, if you think about it, is really like if this Glenn player, if he's not necessarily a one and done, his future, it's the coaching, it's the coaches and the coaching staff that's recruiting him. The question comes in, are they going to be around? Am I going to have to put myself in this portal a couple years from now, right? So that's kind of like that thing that you got to think about as a player, and he may be looking at. Indiana has a crop of new coaches. They just started their journey. That's a little bit more promising than something that's going on kind of wrong in my backyard, if that makes any sense.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Let's see. How much longer we have in this segment, John? I'm off on my deal because I don't want to start a new subject.
Oh, you still got about 5 or 6 minutes.
All right. Because Mike says, all right, put up a comment. College Game Day believes that the rest of the ACC is now closer to Clemson than the rest of the Big Ten is to Ohio State. What do I think? I think that's moronic, first of all. But I also think and will guarantee you the only reason they're saying that, because that's such a moronic statement, is because they are tied to the ACC as of right now. They're not tied to the Big Ten. That's Fox and the Big Ten Network. The ACC is ESPN. So that's why you're not going to see them promoting. You're not going to see College Game Day in the Big Ten, except for maybe if Ohio State is a big game for them. Now, if Indiana is undefeated when Ohio State comes around, that may be too big to pass up. But even that, ESPN has got a relationship with ACC. It's asinine to say that because all you have to do is look. Indiana nearly beat Ohio State at Ohio State last year after being down as far as they were. Now look at Indiana, the rise that they've made. You've got Penn State in that division. You've still got Michigan. You've got a Maryland team that has a good recruiting class, Rutgers that's had a good recruiting class. Then you go on the other side, you've got teams perennially that are already good, Wisconsin, Iowa. So, no, that's a crazy statement in my opinion, Charlie.
Yeah, I mean, I follow football slightly, but I would definitely say that's not the case. Nowhere in the world, based upon what's been going on the last couple of years in the Big Ten, I would say that's not true.
There's a cool little stat. Eden James, son of Edgerrin James, ran for 267 yards to help his underrated team beat a Florida powerhouse over the weekend. Nice to see that. The Edge.
Wow.
It's always cool. I love seeing kids of players do stuff. And sometimes they're better. And there's all that pressure there. Sometimes they're not. Ken Griffey Jr., way better. But there are a lot of juniors that don't follow up to that, but it's not even fair because just because your name is there, you may not have gotten all of what he had.
I would say it's a small percentage. I think over time, it's always a small percentage, right? There's a large percentage that does not make it, but you got to go. You said Ken Griffey Jr. I'm thinking about Keon Martin, his son, playing the NBA. You got Edgerrin James. I know him. He went to the University of Miami. His son, that's a pretty. But see, here's my whole point. You got to think about this. Think about the tips they're getting. LeBron James' son. Like the training they also have access to.
Growing up from the time you're 3 years old, being on the fields, the courts, whatever. Facility.
Think about Peyton Manning around probably when Archie was, think it was just be Steph Curry, Dale Curry, and Steph Curry's brother, Seth, like being around the facility. getting tips that you never really hear about or think about. The people around the facilities, like, that's pretty impressive. 267, and I guarantee you he may do that a couple times this season.
James said on his Scott Frost comment, I mean, you guys are talking like Scott Frost is out there playing. He's the coach. He can't go out there. No, but it's his job to have his team prepared. He's in his 4th season at Nebraska. 4th season. That's very important. Brett Bielema just made his debut. He made his debut at a program that won 2 games last year. So then you've also got Scott Frost, who's been there for 4 years, like I said, but has not done anything. They have not improved. And the pressure is on him now. And he's got an NCAA investigation going. So, yeah, that is all his responsibility. It's his responsibility not to have a team fumbling the ball on the goal line from a kickoff and giving up silly points like that, losing games like that. That directly falls on – that's how coaches lose games. I mean, coaches win or lose games over things like that. More often like that in the pros. But how many times, Charlie, have you seen a guy cut in the pros that if that guy's the guy that fumbled that ball back in the day, boom, cut line.
Yeah. It's a lot. Yeah. The Players Association really protects players now. But, yeah, it was – yeah, you have a bad game, you're not paying attention, you're out, you're gone. It's a little bit more lenient, I would say, based upon what you're talking about as well.
We got to take a break. Make sure if you're looking for a vehicle, Andy Moore Honda in Bloomington at 1441 Liberty Drive's got you covered. 812-432-1892, AndyMooreHonda.com. You can order your new Honda right now and have it ready when it comes in, because you know all the problems everyone's been having with cars and all that. They're ahead of the game, so you can check that out at AndyMooreHonda.com. We're back with more from Indiana Sports Beat right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
I'm going to get some coffee, guys. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
That's perfect, Johnny boy.
Sweet. That's what I'll do. If you want me to go ahead and give you the order, I can. Like of what's like, no, it's coming up. But well, actually, you can look up at the little logo of what I have for the next segment. It's a Remax, so that's how you can know.
I need to write it on something so I have it here all times too.
Yeah.
Afterwards, you can give me well,
for now, just whenever you're in the segment, before I put it up there, if you look at the top right, you'll see what the logo is for the segment. So
that's who's coming up.
That's who's coming up. Yeah. All right, I'm going to use the bathroom real fast.
Everyone's leaving me. No way. No way that happens, Pat. September 18th. So that's 2 weeks in. That's Cincinnati. It would be perfect, but that game's already scheduled to be on the Big Ten Network, I believe. Buffalo bourbon cream in that coffee. Gino was up a little early, 7:40. Appreciate you, brother. I need to come out and visit you. I love Arizona. I was just watching the documentary on Val Kilmer, who lives out, I don't know if he lives in Arizona or New Mexico now. What the hell is that noise?
I think that's his Keurig, if he's using a Keurig. That's what it sounds like.
We need to get another football person on today.
You could make – well, no, never mind. You're looking to make Dopiric a co-host, so you can't have him, I guess.
I'd like to have had a Nebraska person on today right now. I'm not kidding.
We got no, I know. It's just funny. We got 10
serious.
seconds. Someone bring us back in.
Andy Moore Honda Bloomington, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Remax Advanced Realty, Indie Home Pros team by Cheryl Sizemore. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. It is Monday, and it's going to be a lot cooler this week, man. It was already going to be, but the hurricane has helped with that. It's not helping, obviously, the people that are going through that, and we feel for them. But the temperatures are going to be down. So, Charlie, once the camp season slows down, what do you do next?
Well, great question, because this is I treat it like my off season. So I really don't take time off. I mean, because it's not like I'm doing extremely a lot, but I treat it like the off season. One fortunate part, Jim, about what I do is I'm actually surveyed by parents and coaches. So there's right after camp is over, a survey goes out, and the survey is all about, how did you enjoy the camp? What did you like? What can be improved? And I'm always looking at what can be improved for performance feedback opportunities, right? What can be upgraded? So that's kind of what I now spend, say, this time of year, all the way throughout until probably, say, next spring, to where I can look at things, I can look at drills, I can look at skills, I can look at kind of how we can make things better, how can we improve things, even myself. Do I need more mentoring in one area? Do I need to go talk to somebody? The coaches that I've been privileged enough to be around, like Coach Mike Davis at University of Georgia, say, "Yeah, struggling in this area, Coach. Can you help me here? What do you do with your players? What do you say? And how do you handle with parents? Say this and that." So that's kind of how I spend this time of year to really build myself back up to get ready for that spring summer camp next year.
And, people hear names of certain coaches and they're like, they think of them back in certain times.
Yeah.
All of these coaches continue to grow every day, every month, every year. And they get smarter, they get wiser. It doesn't matter who you are and where you are. That's why you look at, like Rick Pitino, when he brought in, what was the guy that had been a head coach for like 30 years someplace?
Rick Pitino, or you talking about, it may not be, I'm thinking about Juwan Howard.
Well, he did the same thing. Rick Pitino did it first.
Yeah.
And he didn't need it.
Right.
He didn't even need it. But that's how much of Rick, you can think about his Pitino for his other stuff, but I'm telling you, he's a basketball mind, man. The dude was a coach. And so, but that's smart to do that. But, and you put Indiana has gone way beyond that. They didn't do that. They did in essence, but I don't know. It's because that is a completely different. Scott Dolson said it early on, running it like a company, CEO and all that, and they have, you've got Thad Matta in. I don't know I forget the title of his position is, but and I don't know exactly day to day what he does, but I know it's important. I'm sure Mike Woodson finds it very important. You've got Dane Fife and the other assistants. We know what those assistants are doing. They're kicking butt on the recruiting trail. And
we continue to talk about the managers and now, again, as Don Fischer said, you got an emergent leader like a Scott Dolson who started off like a manager. So you got to think about these young men and possibly women that are managers that are learning from a Thad Matta. I mean, just think about the basketball pedigree that he was able to influence. I understand he may be hampered by, some type of situations with him physically, but think about that, his mind, what he is able to possess. Then you got the Kenya Hunters, you got the Dane Fifes, the pedigree of people they've been around. It's a positive expanded association. Now you got Coach Woodson, former player, former coach. I mean, you can't get any higher than that as far as, if you're looking to become a great player, great person, and then look to beyond your professional career, what better model to be in like an Indiana program?
Absolutely, and I think that's going to continue to project to a bigger level for that. We're talking about College Game Day. Someone mentioned earlier that they'd like to see where was the date? Like the 18th for that was the Idaho game, and I'm like, yeah, no chance. I'm looking over here at the schedule, and they are scheduled week 3. Here's what stinks. Week 1, that's a great game. They're going to be at Charlotte for the Clemson Georgia game, which is a good game. Week 2, Iowa and Iowa State. Because here's what they say. This in-state non-conference rivalry resumes this fall in what projects to be a top 10 showdown. Well, that means Iowa has to beat Indiana.
That's right.
For that to be a top 10 showdown. And then, unfortunately for ESPN, in week 3, if Indiana does win, it would have been a top 3 or 10 showdown with Indiana and Cincinnati. But they're going to be doing the Florida-Alabama game. Week 4, Notre Dame at Wisconsin. Now, and see, these are projected out. You don't know what they're going to be like. Wisconsin wasn't much last year. Ole Miss at Alabama, week 5. Week 6 is Oklahoma at Texas. So how many SEC so far? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 out of the first 6 are SEC games. Week 7, this is one that really grates me. Miami at North Carolina.
Yeah.
Even if this was 1988 Miami or whatever, North Carolina is not there. North Carolina is so overrated. North Carolina is ranked higher, is looked at as a better program than Miami is right now, and that's a joke.
Yeah.
They're so overrated, but to project that game as a College Game Day is just absolutely idiotic.
Yeah.
Here's why they want to have that as a College Game Day game. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with North Carolina itself. It's solely based on the fact that they think Sam Howell might be the front runner for the Heisman. That's why they want to do that game.
And it's because they're pushing him to be the front runner for the Heisman. ESPN controls this stuff, man. That's why, you can't let them control every conference and they have too much power over the bowl games. They're just getting too much power in sports, I think. Awards. I mean, that's a joke that the reason North Carolina is ranked that high is because he's thought to be that much of a Heisman Trophy. Well, let his numbers bear that out. Anthony Thompson was that high of a Heisman, but that didn't help Indiana. We're the crap. So that's just the North Carolina thing drives me insane. Week 9, Penn State at Ohio State. So we'll see how all these. Oregon at Washington, week 10, Texas A&M and Ole Miss. And that's 2 times Ole Miss has been on here.
Right.
2 times. What? Oh, come on. Ole Miss, give me a break. And then the last week 12 is Louisiana at Liberty, giving the smaller teams some love. That's probably a weekend for it's off, but then for
everybody else.
Oklahoma State. It's just we'll see. But Fox is doing their own thing. They're doing their own game day. Big Ten tailgate is going to be at the Iowa-Indiana game. It's going to be so much. It should be a blast, Charlie. Fans are back in the stands.
Yeah.
And I know Iowa is a place where they just love their football.
Oh yeah.
So this could be an exciting game. You gotta, usually they're used to teams coming in to start the season that they're planning on beating.
Exactly.
This is a strap it up and get ready at the opening kickoff kind of a deal.
Well, and also you got to think about this, yes, it may be pandemic driven, but you're starting off in your conference. So, the first game, all hands on deck. You got ready to play. Like there's no warm-up games. You're going right at that season. So every game is going to be crucial week in, week out.
Let's see. You got some spreads for week 1 coming up. Ohio State is 13.5 point favorite home against Minnesota. or just kind of a nice, easy early season deal there. Michigan State versus Northwestern. Northwestern's a 3.5-point underdog. Number 19 Penn State versus number 12 Wisconsin, who is a 5.5. Okay, I'm taking Penn State all day long. I will take Penn State at 5.5 points on that game. I'm not a bettor, but I'm going to have to bet some this year just for the fun. But yeah, Penn State, I think they're going to be a team to deal with this year. No doubt. Michigan versus Western Michigan at Michigan, who's a 16.5-point favorite. Number 17, Indiana at Iowa. Number 18, Iowa, Iowa is a 3.5-point favorite. That means they're giving Iowa basically a half a point. 3 points for the home team is just for being the home team. So that's basically a flip them. They're wanting to give Indiana the love there, but they can't quite go all the way with giving them that half point. But let's see. West Virginia is a 3.5-point favorite against Maryland, and Oregon State is a 6.5-point underdog against Purdue. So there's some Big Ten games.
Luckily, I never understood gambling, so I'm not saying that's a right or wrong thing, but these are great numbers, and I would need a whole educational class on it because I just never understood that.
Well, basically, they just think that, like, say the Penn State versus Wisconsin, that should be a hell of a game, first of all. But they've got Wisconsin as a 5.5-point favorite. That means they're going to win by 5.5 points or more.
Right.
I'm like, I don't see that. I think Penn State's going to do it, so I'm going to take Penn State and the points. I'll get the points and bet on Penn State. Or you can do a parlay, which is like bet 3. But all 3 of them have to hit, and if they do, you win more. I don't bet much at all, but I sound like I know what I'm talking about, but I really don't. And I think the Indiana and Iowa. I think that's going to be a good close game, but I think Indiana's going to cover that. Looking at that.
I'm getting
We're away on the breaks. Johnny boy.
We still have another. So treat it like a normal schedule. I'm taking care of the clock. I'll still pop up everything like normal. Don't worry about the time. It's all good. Well, you got about 5 more minutes.
I get lost in talking about stuff, and I can't remember.
You're good. I will pop up like I normally do.
We're having every time Charlie's on, we have so much fun. We just get talking about everything. Let's see. What was and then we talked earlier about sons and fathers, how that Dale Earnhardt Jr., Dale Earnhardt, Chase Elliott, Bill Elliott, both those guys had fathers who were great drivers, and they had followed their footpaths and did the same thing. A lot of it's about what you grow up around too.
True.
Your environment. I mean, when you have that and introduced you at an early age, and if it's something that you love, that you like, man, there's nothing better. Nothing better.
Yeah. I mean, the ability, like my son, actually, he's at a Division III school in Kentucky. It's like 30 minutes outside of Lexington. And I just know the opportunity to play one-on-one against him. You know, he's 6'5". We get competitive, trash talk. I still get the best of him. And it's fun because I'm sitting there like, man, I remember holding him, and now he's holding his own on the court. He's just as strong. You know, he can shoot like the smallest detail. Like, how? Where's this come from? But that's just watching and then having that love and passion on his own. So I can only imagine you take someone like a LeBron James who has a potential opportunity to play against his son or with his son. Didn't Ken Griffey Jr. play with his dad like a season or
man?
Did that happen?
I think it did.
It was like a game.
I want to think it did, and I don't remember if it was with Seattle. I think didn't Seattle sign him late almost for that reason?
Like that. Yeah, that's like amazing. Just to say it even happened, that's amazing.
Well, and on top of that, you know, he ends up going to Cincinnati, where Ken Griffey was known from being a part of the Big Red Machine, and was a star there. I mean, they loved him there. It didn't work out as far as winning a world title there. But yeah, it was cool having him there, man. I wish they had him right now. That would be awesome. They'd be in first place right now if they had him. But man, it was fun. The Ken Griffey Jr. days in Cincinnati. Just having, there are just some people that just, I don't know the right word I'm looking for. They just exude everything without even trying.
Right.
They just exude it. And he was one of those guys, man. You just love to watch him, listen to him.
Yeah, he was quiet and driven. I mean, I think that's what really attracted a lot of people to him.
Just smooth, baby. He was silk.
Yep.
He was silky smooth. So this weekend, camps. Did you watch anything over the weekend?
Really no time. So I was literally in the gym Saturday, Sunday from 9 till 3 or 4, and actually yesterday I didn't finish until 8:30. But there's a break here or there. But no, there's. I mean, and we could talk about that coming up. I think if you want to dedicate some time to it, but I get that question asked a lot. Do you watch a lot of sports? I don't, because I'm on the court, and some people don't find it hard. How do you know so much? Well, it's relevant. I'm on the court. I'm actually watching, and we're discussing these things that people are talking about. Like, I'm seeing it happen in real time, right? I'm looking to help people create solutions around this stuff. So in essence, I feel it more than anything, right? You're around it. You're watching film on it.
Yep. It is a lifelong, it's just something that has been going into you for your entire life. And it's just, you're a book, and you've just continued to add chapters into that book. I mean, that's and now it's just like, here you go, open this book and read it.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, and the chapters are always getting revised, right? Because you keep yourself open to learning and reaching, because it's all about the player. It's all about helping them understand. We're trying to make these skills permanent, not just for a season or 2 or 4. Right?
Hey, if you're looking for a home in the Indianapolis area, Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty. Make sure you get in touch with her. Definitely give her a call, 317-298-0961, IndianapolisRealEstate.com, or we can get her email up there actually, but 317-298-0961. That's Cheryl Sizemore from Remax Advanced Realty if you're looking for a place in the Indianapolis area. It's tough out there, man, finding a place. But we got more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club's at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans,
I got to finish my coffee. Sorry about that.
I hear you, brother. I haven't had any for a couple of days. Has he finished making it? He's going to have to get a Keurig.
It sounded like a Keurig, though. Like, how Keurigs get real loud like that noise.
Man, mine don't get loud like that.
Maybe you have a better one or a newer one.
Oh, I bet he's got a steamer or something.
Making coffee in a tea kettle. Jim Reamer, I think, joins this segment. If not, it'll be the next one.
It should be 10:20 would be better, probably.
Last week it was because of Zach Osterman.
Well, it would be better that way he can stay on 2 segments, but not 3. 3's too many.
Well, next week I'll tell him we'll move to 10:20. Unless he comes on 10:20 on his own today, but we'll see.
Well, why don't you just tell him in advance, and he won't. I mean, he will.
All right. Well, I'll see if I can get a hold of him in enough time. Oh, here he comes.
Yeah, Tom.
Well, so I was about to send you a text, Jim. In the future, can we move you to 10-20?
Well, it depends. We need to get one more football person in on this day, John.
Yeah, we'll figure that out.
Because I don't know anything about. I mean, I watch it. I certainly support it. I don't know players.
I'm not even talking about Indy. I'm talking about just football in general.
Oh, probably the same answer.
All right, we got 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Plan a day on the links at Eagle Point in Bloomington, then stay for dinner at Sam's Clubhouse. Sam's Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on this Monday, brought to you by our great friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. If you live down in the Sellersburg, Southern Indiana area, make sure you go see our good friends, Dr. J at Reynolds Family Dentistry. Joining us, Jim Reamer. Charlie had the weekend off in quotations. Didn't have to travel. The season slowing down a little bit. All the tournaments. As a matter of fact, I saw JC Holes. So it's so funny. It's like the bears coming out of hibernation after the summer of, because that's what it's just like, go nonstop. This gym, that gym, this city, this tournament, that tournament. Yep. Set this thing up. And man, when it's over, you start seeing these people like, oh man, where you been for the last 4 months? And it's like, it's like hibernation.
I've got a group of friends here that I hang out with in Carmel that probably when I first met them 4 years ago, they were like, you're going to a high school basketball game? What are you doing? Like, I would just not disappear, but certainly become sparse and maybe roll in a little later. I'm like, usually we'll go grab some sort of salad after a high school basketball game. I'd be rolling in at 10 p.m. when they've already been out for 3 hours. But there's a part of that life. If you're not, I've got basketball friends who I cherish and love talking to and hanging out with, and I've got I've got people who aren't in that environment. And I'm lucky to have a group of people that I've continued to hang out with over the years, and even though my basketball friends tend to rotate as I move from one team to the next anywhere from 3 to 5 years.
Man,
sure.
No, that sounds like you have commitment problems.
No. Well, so kids graduate from high school.
I'm kidding, man.
I know. And I can't, as much as I would love to coach a group all the way through their college days, they tend to get tired of me. So.
Scott Dolson had a recent birthday. I think it was yesterday or the day before.
Yes.
I think it was Don Fischer brought him up, and he has a job for life. He is the right guy at the right time at the right place. And I think that he will be at Indiana for the next 15 years. I think does Indiana still have forced retirement? I think by the state, I think they do. So whenever that is, if that changes, but right now he's going to be at Indiana, I think, for the next 15, 16 years. And to know that you have to think that you will have that kind of continuity and consistency and leadership that's only going to continue to get better is another thing that should just give, if you're an Indiana fan, reason to be smiling today.
Yeah, I would definitely say that. That's pretty interesting. I want to go back to that forced retirement. That's something actually that you all have in the state of Indiana?
Well, I think for state employees, it's not like just anybody.
Got it.
And Indiana is a state institution. So I think that they did have it. So I'll have to check that. I'm sure that someone will tell us here in a second. But yeah, I don't have to worry about it because I don't work for the state and I don't have but part of it's because it's the pension and all that.
Makes sense.
So they don't want you running that thing up until you're 75
Makes sense.
and them having to owe you that much more. I guess it increases the algorithm on what they have to pay you. So
That makes sense.
but I just remember there being some coaches at the time that were, if they get close to that number, whether it's 70, 65 or 70, that could become an issue.
Wow.
Doesn't that pension thing, not that we want to talk about politics and pensions, but doesn't that pension thing work a little backwards, though, because you're also paying it out longer? Like if a guy can work till he was 75 or so, he could help. My grandfather worked until he was 90. I mean,
I'm just talking about state employees only. I'm talking about.
No, I'm with you. I know that. I'm just thinking in general, but doesn't that, it's almost counterintuitive. I mean, I get that maybe the pension pay goes up.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
does it go up? Does it go up exponentially to the point where, I mean, paying somebody an extra 10? I mean, you start paying somebody when they're 65. There's a good chance they're going to live another 20 to 25 years, versus, what would be 10 to 15 years if they worked. I mean, 75 is the new 60 these days. I mean. My mom's 77 and still works, and I mean it's part-time, but she loves her job and she would hate to give it up. She enjoys the purpose aspect of it. And I know that's not state. I'm just
it's like Don Fischer does not work directly for IU.
Correct. He works for
Learfield.
There, yep.
So he is not a state employee. I think at one time he was an IU employee. And if he were still an IU employee, I don't know if he could. I don't know. I don't know. So I'm not going to act like I know something that I don't. And I'm not up to date on that. But I know that there used to be there. And whether I would think that it still is, but I don't know if it's still there or not. It's just something I thought of. Yeah. It doesn't mean much. I don't have to worry about it. Either way, it's not going to help me. So, and I don't think either one of us, I don't think any of the three are close to retiring anytime soon right now. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, people joke about me being retired, just period, but that's another story. So
I got a feeling you guys already talked about it. I know the Shafino kid. I know he committed. What are your thoughts on him?
I think, man, I like him for a lot of reasons. He's coming from Montverde Academy,
right?
And I talked about this last week. Kids that come out of there, they're different. They have a different mindset. They look at their sport as, I hate to say, as a business, but they look at it as a business. But that's a good thing because they're focused. They know that they have to do X, Y, and Z. They are doing X, Y, and Z because I don't think those guys let you get away with anything. We had Ray Miller, assistant coach, on here, and very buttoned up approach. You could tell they take what they're doing seriously. They talk about it being an international boarding school with kids from 90 countries. So your learning is so expanded, and they work to when you leave, they want you to be. It seems like they want you to be a complete person. It's like going into a mini college. Right. That's in that aspect. And I think that if it depends on the person, but I think he is one of those people that is going to be a good leader. His coach talked about having good leadership qualities. He seems very calm. He's not a look at me kind of a guy. I haven't seen that from him. I think he's just going to be a tremendous addition in that way, and his skill level is obviously there. And I think that he is also, like Tamar Bates, going to start pulling other guys in as well. Jim, Reamer?
Oh, I've not seen him play yet. So that's one thing I do try to avoid is not get too deeply into talking about guys I've not seen play.
Well, just talk about it from the standpoint of pulling in a commitment of that stature, of where he's coming from, and the type of players that come out of there. I mean, I think it was seven draft picks come from that academy last draft. I mean, that's what they do, man.
Yeah, and a lot of that. Look, there's legitimate prep schools, and then there's some of these ones that just kind of pop up. And Mount Verde has certainly established itself as a legitimate place. And And you look at the competition level that he's been able to play during the high school season. They're not playing bad school. I mean, maybe they got a couple. I mean, they're not playing a host of bad schools. Where some of these prep schools, and we've focused on this on a few episodes on the podcast that we do for my website, and even then, I'm probably harsher than what some like, just because I tend to lump a lot of them together. But
right.
I mean, there's, we've got La Lumiere here in Indiana, and I think from a school standpoint, they do a great job. I mean, it's a legitimate school. There's no questioning that aspect of it. The basketball program has been around legitimately for just over a decade. I don't know what made them start like a major prep school type situation, but sometimes there are questions about how some of this stuff is funded.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean in terms of legal versus illegal or anything like that, but just in terms of where's the return on the investment, stuff like that. It's the same discussion we have with the overtime elite stuff that we talked about. Was it last week or the week before?
Right.
At some point, there has to be a return on how much it costs to run those programs. And I don't think La Lumiere, for example, all of a sudden just decided to devote a bunch of money toward a highly competitive basketball situation.
Right.
That money's got to come from somewhere, and I'm guessing sometimes that there is a respected return to that. And I know, that's not anything I'm not doing any investigative reporting. It's just a lot of assumptions and hunches and thoughts on how that even something like that takes place. Because I mean, I know what what it takes to run these huge programs in Indianapolis, the Indianapolis area, just from a high school perspective. And I know how they go about raising their money, and I know what it costs to function without them doing all this extensive travel and paying coaches major salaries. And I mean, it's, and schools here aren't, we can joke, but schools here aren't recruiting. They're not trying to tempt kids in a major way to come to their school. There can be some jokes made with some schools in central Indiana and different places across the state. But, you're looking at a major effort to get a kid from Tennessee to go to school in Mount Verdes, in Florida, correct? Yeah. That takes a lot of coaxing, and maybe they're to a point where they're in high demand and maybe, but at some point there had to be, some incentive borne out that, if you come here, we're going to make you special, but you're going to have to, they're going to have to prove themselves. And I don't know. I'm going down a tangent here, not really really answering anybody's question.
I want to help. I want to help get you out of there because you have more. I mean, and again, you're not going anywhere in a gray area. You're not going anywhere where, you're going to get penalized. But I understand your situation and what you're saying. But yeah, so I haven't seen him play either.
Well, I get frustrated. You saw that what happened this weekend with ESPN and the football situation, right? I don't know all the details, but I was reading about it yesterday. They had their big prep school, their big football game was IMG versus some other team, and it was like 56-6 was the final score. And evidently this school didn't actually exist. It was just their coach, their athletics director was praising that they had 3 major recruits and ESPN choked big time on this issue, but they were basically duped.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of situations like
I've seen a lot about that. Now, you talking about this past weekend?
Yeah, I think if it wasn't this past weekend, it was the weekend before.
I saw
it was this week. It was
IMG
Bishop Sycamore.
Bishop
Sycamore.
IMG against Bishop Sycamore from Ohio. That a ton of people were commenting from the state of Ohio saying we have no idea who this team is. We've never heard of them. I've never heard of this place. They're not even a part of the Ohio Athletic Association.
Yeah, exactly.
But there are other teams, big name teams, Moeller, and I think that have played these guys, are scheduled to play them. So, but the worst thing was they played a game 2 days apart.
Yeah,
2 days apart to be
Friday and
on
Sunday.
ESPN. The second game was 2 days after a Friday game. Man, I don't know how they're not going to get in some major trouble for that, because
But
that's
by whom?
just that's a good question if they're not regulated.
Yeah,
But
they're not regulated.
somebody in Ohio will step up, I promise you, because you're not going to let kids, especially in today's era of kids and being a safety and all that, 2 varsity football games in 2 days, man. Practice was hard, and sometimes harder than the games that they were supposed to be. So I don't want to go off onto a tangent, but I do remember after games being exhausted to the point of falling asleep. So in football. So I can't imagine playing one on Friday night. Then you just got Saturday and you're back at it on Sunday. There's no way that's enough rest. Even for a 17, 18-year-old kid. I know, I'm telling you, I did it. And there's no way that's not going to come down on somebody.
Yeah, that's growing up in Florida, in particular Miami, in the 90s, it started to become more prevalent with charter schools. These schools start popping up in sports, and you start seeing marquee players go from public schools to these schools. I mean, again, just kind of as we're talking about this, kind of the same lines, Jim Reamer, you're talking. It's just interesting to see. And then all of a sudden they're not accredited, right? And so my feel is always for the player and their parents and what they were being told or sold. And all of a sudden now they lose an opportunity, a year. They lose a full year. They have to get reinstated to a public school or whatever. So I totally get where you're going with that. Totally understand that. I want to kind of get out of that. Somebody asked a question. What team talked the most trash?
Yeah, who was I lost. There we go.
Yeah. So who talked the most trash? I would say.
Now you got different levels here. You got college, and then we'll let's stick with college right now.
I will go college. I mean, for me, I think it was Purdue, right? Because that was
it should be.
Yeah, that was always like Dan Dockett just popped in my head. I can see him right now in his little red sweater like Coach Knight to wear. And just here it is Monday, and everybody's hyped, right? They're walking around, eyes are big, everybody's talking, you know what, right? It's like, and then you get the proverbial, it's just funny. Coach Knight would say, I'll give you a school in Miami called Killian. And he would say, Charlie, you're not going to play against Killian this week. Like, how the heck do you know that dang on school in my district? That these boys going, blah, blah, blah. So everybody's hyped. But Purdue, to me, would be that team because it was just that in-state rivalry. I remember getting hit by one player I think I talked about before. I don't want to bring his name up. I paid him back when he came back my freshman year. It was at Purdue. I got hit in the you-know-what, man. I got chopped hard. And he just said, I hate you effing. And I was like, I didn't even understand it. Like, what? I just got hit. What happened? Okay, I get it now. But Purdue, to me, was the team.
Well, and it's funny because in talking to Todd, Larry, and all those, it's the same thing. But that's part of that is because that came from above.
Yeah.
Bob Knight made sure
that
game was of a little bit more importance than the other games. Not that the other games were not hugely important because winning the Big Ten was important. But that disdain for Purdue, he made you have it. And I think that is great for whatever sport. I don't care what sport it is. Yeah. You need a rival, man. You just need it. It's fun. It's just, you need it.
I laugh because if we played Purdue for 30 games, I was like 19 or 20 points a game. That was always my game. I played well against those guys, man.
Now, why was that? Was there any reason for that?
Who knows, man? I mean, that might
Were
be.
you driven more? I mean, was Knight in your head a little bit more?
Man. I don't know. It was something about it. I mean, I can almost go like every single year detail. I mean, I'm not going to do that, but like who knows? From the first time I played him, where Conzo Martin shot 22 free throws, which that was crazy. Home cooking referee, I'll call it what it is. 22 free throws, remember? 22 free throws. 22.
Now you sound like Purdue fans.
Breathe on them.
You sound like Purdue fans complain about home cooking.
Right? Home cooking. But then we came to Bloomington and we ended up beating them pretty good my freshman year. And then Chad Austin hit a dagger in my face my sophomore year in the left corner. Can't forget that. Did all he could. I mean, he knocked down a big shot. But anyway, I can go down line for line. But who knows, right? Just to get it for him.
Basketball's better in the state when Purdue and Indiana are both good.
Yeah,
absolutely. We got to take a quick break. We got
who you root for.
Absolutely. Plenty more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure, again, if you're living in the southern Indiana area down around Sellersburg, go see our good friends at Reynolds Family Dentistry. Go see Dr. J today. Give you that championship smile. Back with more here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio at the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Whether you're looking for...
Man, there's a place in Chandler, Arizona called the Hoosier Cafe. I'm looking at it right now. And it's got all Indiana stuff on the inside of it.
Nice.
He does have an Irish jersey, a Butler jersey, in addition to Indiana and the Pacers and the Luck jersey. That's pretty wild, though. Now, I know the Van Arsdales live out in Arizona.
Maybe it's for them. Hey, Charlie, where I was trying to get with all that was scheduling.
Yeah, true.
This was.
I know, because travel, costs, expenses. Yeah, I'm with you. Now, and again, I mean,
and some of those schools play 4 or 5 really good teams, and that's what they put on their their program stuff and their presentation, and then the rest of their schedule is just like trash.
Exactly. So Jim Reamer, I had to entertain this idea, and my son ended up going to a prep school last year, but because he needed to. I mean, I think that was only the best opportunity. He's at a Division III school called Midway in Midway, Kentucky, which is like 30 minutes outside of Lexington.
That's what you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. So literally, like, think about this, guys. Like, we're getting offers, right? The offers, but it's like in boarding school, 90 years, 100 plus years, all of the schools in the Boston area, right? All those good prep schools. So 75 grand, 90 grand, we're going to give you 60 off. Like, how are these kids going to these schools? But yet I had a coach tell me the real, which was, if the kid, if he's really, really, really good, we're going to scholarship him, right? You're going to have a budget for that, or whatever you want to call that. You're going to make it work, right? Whatever,
there's always that coach that sits in the middle of the bench. It's the guys to his right that pay all the money and don't ever get to play. It's the guys to his left that.
There you go. There you go. Right. So, and I mean, I know that, and we know that, and that's the unfortunate side. Like, I mean, we had to pay for my son to get a year of experience, and the pandemic didn't help, but yet he had enough games on his belt to have a school want him, and it fit, and it was a good fit. Division III is a good fit.
Where did he go to prep school?
He went to Lee Academy in Lee, Maine.
Really?
And he played in the Knapsack.
Okay. Well, at least that's a legitimate.
Yeah, I mean,
5 seconds.
And it was a good.
It's the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
Boosters that were all there, but that wasn't really real for him.
This segment is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this Monday, brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. If you're down there, stop in, have a burger. Pizza, burgers, beer. It's a great place, man. That food is handmade every day. Love the food there. Right off of I-65 there in Clarksville. Man, we got to get you up this way, Charlie, especially since your son's down there. That's couple 3 hours away from here.
Yeah.
How did that play? How did that come about? Just location wise?
Yeah. Well, for him, I think it came down to what school was interested based upon his size. I would say, his name is Cameron. Just like a lot of players, Jim Reamer, his defense was way ahead of his offense. Okay. He has some physical attributes that I didn't understand, because when everybody who put their eyes on him when he played in, the Great American Shootout in Dallas, it's called the Gasso. Hey, does he run track? His first couple steps out the gate, man, it was just like quick. Fat, like wow, like no, but that's something just natural, right? But yet, just really didn't have that opportunity to really play. He moved from North Carolina. I wanted him to be with me his senior year. I know that was also tough on him mentally to leave a situation in North Carolina to come with me for a year. That was also personal for me. I want him to be around me after not being around me so long. And then at the same time, he go to high school like right down the street from me. So just watching him play, that was cool. But how it came about was more so there was somebody who used to be a former Division I coach who had the opportunity to turn, becoming basically the liaison, right? He paid for services. He has a lot of contacts, and I knew I needed it. It wasn't like I knew all these people. I wanted to help my son get a good situation to go play somewhere to be seen. And we found Lee Academy in Lee, Maine. And then from there, I think, a handful of games because of the pandemic, they had enough games where the school, Midway University, liked him. And again, it's Division III school. I'm proud because he's in school. He's doing what he loves to do. School just started last Monday, and he's happy, right? But that's kind of, interesting. It was all kind of schools that offered opportunities, but you got to pay for it, right? We're being real, right? Yeah, Charlie got a scholarship. Yeah, that was great. And you don't think about, that 20-something grand someone's paying for you every single year, whatever it was for out-of-state expenses as a scholarship, full 100% scholarship person. But now it's a whole nother story. Charlie now is a parent looking to help his son. It's a real deal.
Okay, that's a perfect thing to lead into then. As a parent now, instead of an athlete, with NIL, how important is the advent of just getting a scholarship to these kids, to a lot of these kids, to most of these kids who will not be pro athletes? They're talking about, they need to be paid. And I'm not saying they don't be, but they don't need to be. But the value of the scholarship seems to have been washed away, and all that comes with it, the lodging, the eating, the medical care, everything. You have no other than going out to, on your own, which there's no reason. You don't even have to ever go out on your own to eat. Yeah. But other than doing that, that you want to, everything is covered. And so we're talking a lot of money there. And it seems like that's just kind of been forgotten.
Well, if you think about the NIL, right, and you think about a scholarship, and I'm just throwing out a dollar amount, 25 grand, who knows, whatever. I mean, you might get now, if you are an influencer as a student coming in, heck, you might be making that now with advertisements on your website or whatever products. So it's like, okay, save your money. Kind of like, I'm not saying tough talk, but think about what I'm saying with confidence. I don't need your money. You can use that for someone who really needs a scholarship. I have enough sponsorship dollars that can cover XYZ for X amount of years as I'm an influencer, right? So that's just kind of one way to look at it. Not saying, again, that's the way it may be done. But yeah, now, you might be looking at that as a conversation. We probably can have somebody come on as a walk-on, right? They can pay for school. They don't have to worry about, X amount of dollars for a budget for a player. So it just makes it pretty interesting to me.
What'll be interesting is to see if the NIL stuff starts to influence, I don't know, financial aid issues. I don't mean FAFSA or, federal stuff, but I'm talking like scholarships, how the school handles that stuff, because there Now, Division I's different because your scholarships are never split. They're either all or nothing. So you're either on scholarship or you're a walk-on.
Right.
Other sports, however, I think we're going to see an unintended shift in how finances are handled to the point where the school will say, look, here's how we can get you your money.
Exactly.
And we're not going to put as much money toward it directly. And I think that'll end up hurting some kids. It won't hurt any of the basketball players, the football players, or softball players, or it won't hurt any of the revenue sport athletes. But it could hurt athletes in situations that aren't in revenue sports, because the school will use the excuses. Hey, you can use your own image to go out there and get money, and and I nothing. The one point I wanted to get in quick: nothing compensates an 18-year-old with just a high school education better than being a college athlete.
That's right.
Even before the NIL, and nothing. I mean, my last group of kids that have graduated. I mean, I've got a group now, but they're still in school. They were in college. The smallest stipend any of them got was $1,200. Division I kids, I should say. The smallest stipend any of with 10 kids, 8 D1 guys, a D2 guy, and a D3 guy. The smallest stipend the D1 kids got was $1,200 a month.
And it all went to your rent, Jim Room.
No. In their case, it was above and beyond. It was above and beyond.
Okay, there we go.
So that was, I don't want to say spending money, but it was. Right. I mean, I don't know if their utility bills were taken care of, if their cable bill was taken care of, but no, this was above lodging. This was above.
Okay, got it.
This was above everything else. I mean, college athletes have been getting paid directly for over a decade now.
Yeah, I know any money that came in to Charlie Miller went right to Jackson Heights Apartments, right across the street from Assembly Hall. And we had to also beg them to say, "Hey, look, our money's coming in. Give us a couple months."
Well, and schools in general have changed how that's handled.
Right. Well, where they stand now, I know in Bloomington, I mean, the kids have they have a whole apartment complex, right? Penthouse look like to me.
Charlie, you'll like this. Not that Jim won't, but Charlie, you'll like this. I had a kid that did live with me for a while, and he had to go the junior college route, and poor Vincennes guys.
Yeah.
Were doing their job. I mean, they were. I'm friends with Brian. He does a great. Brian Davis, a long-time assistant.
Brian Davis,
He's been there, I think, for 3 coaches now.
But,
But God, he was doing a great job, and the first argument was, look, this kid ended up going and playing for, God, who was the coach? He's a Hutch.
In Kansas.
Yes. There you go. Anyway. So Hutchinson, Kansas. So basically, we're talking, Carmel or Indianapolis, Indiana, basically. And Brian's arguments were twofold. One, Vincennes is a heck of a lot closer than Kansas.
Right.
And my reply to that was yes, but the Indianapolis airport is a hell of a lot closer than Vincennes. And all I got to do is make sure he gets to the airport and back twice a year or 3 times a year because of Christmas. And the other one was, going to the money aspect of this, the other one was, if he goes to Hutch, they will take his Pell money and put him on a work study program or a work program, and he doesn't get to keep his Pell money. And my reply to that was, if you give him his Pell money, it will be gone in 3 days on video games, probably groceries, maybe other things they shouldn't be buying.
Exactly.
But mostly video games.
That's right.
Mostly PlayStation stuff.
That's right.
And he'll be poor the rest of the semester. Where if he goes to Hutch, he'll be on a work study program. He'll be on a work program where he gets paid his full Pell amount.
That's right.
Over what is it? A 16-week period or something like that? And if he blows all of his money, he'll only be broke for like a couple of weeks instead of the rest of the semester. So,
and you don't realize the value of that work study.
Well, it's the management. For me, it was all about money management.
Right.
Having zero trust in his. Well, even if let's just be practical about it, or pragmatic. Zero trust in his. He has zero experience of.
That's right.
Money,
I'm with you.
And how much of that was? I mean, hell, I'm 51. Money still burns a hole in my pocket. It still burns a hole in my pocket.
That's right.
When I get, when I know what my, well, I mean, it just.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
But it's for an 18-year-old kid to have even just what Pell money is. that's probably more cash that he's ever seen in one instant in his life. In his hands. Maybe, parents might have that, but there was no way I was going to have him be in a situation. There was no way it was practical to think that he was just going to be given whatever it was, $2,000 or $3,000, whatever that ends up being, and thinking that he was going to be able to manage it for the rest of the semester.
Well, and you also got to put in consideration, and again, with humility around this, the kid himself, his upbringing, his environment, whatever it could have been. You're not talking about Pell Grant, how to save your Pell Grant. You're not talking about your ideas on playing basketball, aka hooping, getting better, going on to that next level. So that whatever that was going to, like you said, it was going to be gone on the weekend and possibly video games and whatever else. Not saying it's right or wrong, but until it's all gone, you don't realize, what's happened.
Right.
Man, high school football last weekend went on. I know you guys don't get out. Do you go to any of the Carmel games?
I haven't been to a Carmel football game, gosh, in probably 15 years. It's awful. I'm that way. As many high school games as I go to, basketball games that I go to, it's hard to justify throwing those Fridays out and, trying to have a social life outside of basketball, I guess.
I'm trying to find. They had a great comeback win last week against.
They're phenomenal series of events for them to win. Yes,
in Louisville, but I don't know. This past weekend, I think they had another comeback.
They did. This past week, they forced a late fumble and returned it for a touchdown. I think in the final seconds of the game. I mean, I think there were 4 lead changes in 5 minutes. And they ended it up they were down. They turned it over on downs. And then I want to say that the next play or the play after that, there was a Detroit King fumbled it and Carmel kid gathered it up and ran for a touchdown. So
lots of excitement for them at the start this season. Columbus East, man, has so long been a juggernaut. Man, that might be over as they lost to Columbus North 28-0. I wonder when the last time they were shut out was. I have to go back and look at that. See, I know I saw a bunch of Evansville scores. All the Evansville teams seems to have won. They must have played people from outside of Evansville. So that must have been a Wrights Memorial beat Evansville North. So that must have been the Wrights Bowl. That'd been fun. Bossy,
that place
won by 2 over Central. The Wrights Bowl? Heck yeah, man.
Okay.
Oh, you're talking about the new one.
No, have you seen that? Well, I've not seen the new one, but you've seen their old field and their old basketball or their current basketball gym?
Not the current basketball one, no.
It's carved. Well, the current's their old one. It's not anything new. It's basically just carved in a hill.
Wow.
And it's bleachers on one side, but it's probably, I don't know, I'm going to guess 30 rows up.
The Wrights Bowl, man.
And the football stadium is pretty much the same way. I think
it's called, the Wrights Bowl.
Yeah.
There's some great comments. Modern Day was down 14, came back to win in overtime. Talk about excitement. Shelbyville won for the first time since 2018. A 26-game losing streak snapped. Wow. Good for them. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Ross said a 35-yard Hail Mary on the last play. I don't know who that was, what he was talking about. That's Shelbyville? I don't know. But very cool. Just to see all that. But yeah, football, I love seeing football back. I was watching some of the games and it didn't even matter. Just seeing some of those, when I was watching Illinois and Nebraska, it didn't matter. It was like, man, it was just seeing people in the stands was cool. So man, just that environment, it sucks to have missed that for so long. And you don't realize how much of a difference it makes until you're in it again, Charlie.
I can imagine, man. I mean, look, I mean, just think about having a whole season off or every single day you're just on like a high security alert to now you're preparing that first game that everything's back, people understand. So I'm excited for the kids, just for them to get back out and play football and do what they love to do.
All right, we got to take another break, and that's going to be the last one before we come back and finish her out here on Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. If you're down that way, stop in. Pizza, burgers, beer, Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Hey, Hoosier fans.
Yeah, that Hail Mary play that he just mentioned, I was wrong. That was actually that's how the Carmel game ended. The fumble recovery.
I see that.
Yeah, the fumble recovery was earlier, and then King, I think, had gotten the lead again, and then Carmel came down with a backup quarterback and threw that final pass.
Let's see, what did Bloomington South do? I didn't see them on this list here.
I saw a play. I can't. It's whichever one the McCullough brothers play for. I don't know if that's north or south, but one of them.
Do you have that? Can you pull that up?
Yeah, give me a couple minutes and I can pull that up. You know what I'm talking about?
No, but somebody's talking about it. Anytime you see stuff like that, just pull it up. Just grab it.
And then also a quick reminder: we'll be ending at 56 today, and I'll be popping a little early. Just to, I know you know that, but
New Albany got crushed, 63-24.
We got the sponsors rolling today, Jim.
Well, I haven't done as good a job as I should.
He's trying to do more live reads, so I'm reminding him to do that.
I like it, and it's right by my picture, so it's like I'm being sponsored by these people. So I got Reamer, right. I got Bubba's 33. So man, I'm like, man, John, clip this up, man. This looks legit.
Now you got Psalms. You got Psalms up next to you now.
Right.
Twice now we've come out of a break where I've praised Psalms. That food's really good. They have a couple of nice places near me, and I love both environments and their menu.
I'll get you some gift cards.
There you go. Send those bad boys out.
That makes sense.
I just got them.
Although I think they've changed the menu on the one in Nora by North Central on the Monon.
Jim, I'll text you once I get that video of the of that play I'm talking about up. If I do find it, if I can't find it, then I'll also let you know. But
Jim Reamer, are you ever doing any coaching clinics? You ever host any, or do you have an interest in hosting anything?
We've tried in the past. It's tough here to do that without. It's just tough here to do that.
Okay.
The high school association has a couple. Well, they have their big one in April, pretty much
Makes
every
sense.
year, and then there's something called the Boar's Nest, which is a Tipton thing. But a lot of good coaches go there, and it's become a thing. And it's,
tough to compete with. I'm with you.
Yeah, it's fun. I would do it just from a goodwill perspective, but it's you know,
all right, we're back in a few seconds.
Okay.
Stay for dinner at Psalms Clubhouse. Psalms Restaurants, professionals in the art of food and drink. This segment is brought to you by Psalms Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local, family. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington. Here's Jim Coyle.
Welcome back. Hope you're having a great start to your week. Indiana Sports Beat Radio coming to you here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Brought to you by Psalms Family of Restaurants. Fresh, local. It's good. You were just talking about it, Jim. You have got a couple by you.
Love them. Great food. Great environments, too.
Yeah, they also have the clubhouse at Eagle Point. Have their own line of beers as well. Big Lug. There's a big, I think that, don't they have a Big Lug cantina or just a place that you actually go to?
It's in Nora, yeah, by North Central High School, right on the Monon. They've got the ale house right there, and then the Big Lug canteen, which is mostly just bar food. It's a good hang. They usually have a little bit of music back there, and you're right on the Monon. And when the weather's nice, it is definitely a good hang. So,
one of Kravitz's favorite spots as well. Speaking of beverages, fans back in the stands. Don't forget, you've got beer sales now. Indiana has sold out probably half of the games Charlie and Jim, for this area called the top of the rock. It's the closed end, the latest, the end that got closed in last. That area, they're going to have like you can buy, well, I guess the tickets either include it or allow you to do it, but the changes continue. And you can buy adult beverages. No, you can get it anywhere throughout the stadium. Okay. But I think that it has tables set up, tables and umbrellas. I don't know what all they're going to have over there, but it's going to be kind of a sit. You can sit down at a table and watch the game as opposed to sitting in your seat. So in those areas,
you're talking about in Bloomington?
Yeah, at the Memorial Stadium.
Okay, so and yeah, because that used to not be the case, right? I mean, they would never sell like adult beverages. Is that?
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know if the state would allow.
Always, because I thought. Well,
say that again.
I thought I was under the impression Memorial Stadium they never sold adult beverages, right?
Well, it started. It was last year though. No,
okay, there we go.
The year before last was the first year. They just got it approved in.
There we
only got one season of it in. Not doing that throughout Assembly Hall,
right?
But you can still purchase. But certain people can purchase or get adult beverages in Assembly Hall already. So that's already there.
Yeah,
it's just allowing the general public to do it.
Of course,
which I think is a little ridiculous to not when you're already offering it to other people. But that's going to be rectified sooner rather than later because it makes them money and they're going to have to now.
Well, and I think that's what you probably got to pilot, right? You got to pilot the program first and then probably offer. I mean, as we know, it's already being done.
Wouldn't they have outsourced that, Jim? And then the company they outsourced it with had the liquor license, and so if you were part of that group, then you could. That's how you could do that. Is that how that works?
Well, I'm sure that because certain beer makers here have certain contracts, so I'm sure that it is because that's something they don't want to have to mess with, and that allows them to not have to deal with that end of it. But at the same time, they probably have. Do they have liquor licenses for the many functions that they put on? Do they have one liquor license? I mean, I don't know. I'm not into that. I don't know.
It depends on how they're set up. It's easier to get a spot liquor license. I've never done it. I just know people that do a lot of catering, and it's easier for them to get like a spot liquor license than it would be. And that's not a terminology. That's
well, regardless, they've got it. It's available now. So and it's there. So it'll be just a fun time. Pat said the Dasan McCullough highlights were amazing. I think John's got that highlight from this past weekend. Who was Bloomington South playing this over the weekend? I don't even recall. I didn't get a chance to go, but let's see that highlight, John, if you've got that. Dasan McCullough on the defense, man. Oh, that's right. They were playing Martinsville. That is it. They were playing Martinsville. Dasan McCullough picked off the quarterback there he stands out amongst those guys. You can see he's a bigger guy, but good hands, and took it back to the house for a score. But there you go. Little, but man, he kind of stood out, Charlie.
He looks pretty tall. How tall is he?
I'm not going to look. I didn't realize he was that tall. Maybe 6'3", I guess.
Yeah, he looks pretty tall. I mean, that's a pretty athletic guy. I mean, I watched some highlight clips of a kid out of Georgia, high school. I guess he's #1 athlete, wide receiver. I mean, he played, I can't think of his name, but he played wide receiver, cornerback, was on the kickoff return. I mean, he is a pure athlete, but he's not a bulked up kid. I mean, he's just really athletic, and just toyed with the whole school on the other side of the ball. Just caught every ball he wanted to. Got an interception. I mean, threw a touchdown. They just put him in position to make plays.
6'5".
Wow, there we go. Wow, he looked pretty tall.
6'5", 220.
Oh, that's good size. That's really good size.
Heck yeah, man. You said it, athletic. When you see guys that are just athletic, I don't care what the sport is, man. They're athletic and they can just do certain things better than other people.
Something earlier, Jim Coyle, and I don't know all the terms of football unless they grew a term. They mentioned the husky position. What's a husky position in football?
For Indiana, it's like last year it was the bull. I think basically it is the old advent of the strong safety.
Got it. Okay.
But it's a hybrid linebacker, defensive back.
Okay.
A guy that's going to have to be able to do both of those that can. And when I say do both of them, they've always expected a linebacker, but I mean to really be able to cover a guy and get up and either you'll get involved in the run or get to the quarterback, or it depends on what the scenario is. But it's a hybrid position.
So would you say he would be like a Steve Atwater?
Oh, yeah, though. I mean, back in the day, they didn't call it that and do that, but they could. But those guys absolutely could have done that. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. Because Jim Reamer, someone said Charlie could play the husky position for Coach Allen. And I'm like, okay, I've never heard that position. I like that.
It's a compliment.
I like that position now. I take that.
Yeah. Well,
strike me more as a tall corner.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah.
Than a hard hitting safety who.
Yeah, you got it right. I like that. Hey, I like the slight in that, Jim Reamer. I like the slight. I heard the slight.
Damning with faint praise. Is that what that was?
Yeah, I like that because, see, as a corner, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read, is he inside the hash mark or outside the hash mark? Yeah. I'm reading, right? He's outside. I know he's going in. So I'm going to play off. I'm going to play my position. I had some funny stories with some IU football players back in the day. After several adult beverages, I used to line up as a cornerback, and we used to run routes and have fun with that. So I like
that go.
Fun. This is good stuff, man. Just you said something and just put me back into position where I actually tackled one of the wide receivers. He was just talking smack and what I would do if I was a cornerback to him and stuff. So good times, man.
Bloomington South 159-0. Is that right? Wow.
No. 45 to 20.
45. All right. Someone 159-0, I think. But I did not see.
No.
Martinsville. It was Martinsville.
Yeah, they beat New Albany 50 to 20 in week 1. They beat Martinsville 45 to 20 in week 2.
But New Albany got blown. It gave up 63 points this week. Which is a little blowing. I thought that they were going to have a pretty decent team this year. They had a lot of offense back apparently, but no defense. Looks like, unfortunately for those guys. Hopefully it gets better. But
Gibson Southern, wow.
Yeah, and I'm like, that's what I said. I'm like, wow. I don't know that they've ever even played them.
Gibson Southern beat Columbus North.
I got a question about football. Because to me, I correlated to basketball. And you can't really say it exactly, but you take the nuances of a small-sided game, Jim Reamer, 3-on-3, 4-on-4. I know I've looked to do programs like that. They just kind of sometimes hit or miss. Would you say 7-on-7 football has, over the last 10 to 15 years, has really helped offense of scoring in football? Because I'm hearing a lot of scores that, I mean, these are like 45, 20, 59. You think that's that year-round presence now in football with all of the, the cornerbacks, wide receivers getting together playing 7-on-7 on weekends, spring, summer?
It would. I think it. Yeah, I absolutely do. Because I think you're putting guys in more playing situations, and it's actually more. There's more context there in the training aspect of it than there is in individual workouts from a basketball perspective.
Right.
I had a good talk with college coaches over the weekend and 2 different elite camps this past weekend, and I think we all agree kids today are more skilled with the ball than they ever have been.
Yeah.
The problem is that 90% of their off-season training is all with the ball.
That's right.
And so they lose a lot of context. They lose a lot of the ability to play without the basketball.
Right.
And then you get those coaches who have those ball dominant type offenses, which I'm not other than I don't like them. I mean, some of them do them well, and some of them
right.
work.
I mean, that's how we were raised. I mean, it is what it is. I mean,
but a lot of the poorly coached teams in that ilk create a lot of bad habits.
True.
Unintentionally create a lot of bad habits. I mean, there's some bad motion coaches out there, I'm sure. Maybe I'm one of them. But I'm teaching my guys how to play without the basketball.
That's right.
I'm teaching my guys how to play.
We teach them how to play. That's the key.
And teach them how to function in any system.
There you go.
Not just
not just dribble, drive, motion. I mean, and whatever we want to call it. But I'm with you on that.
And I don't dribble, drive, motion. What is just motion without screening? Is that
right? I mean, and you got to, and like you said, it's with the ball,
right?
And again, you're standing around more so waiting for your turn. If you can penetrate, pitch, drive, kick, and make the right play at the right time, I'm with you.
Hey, don't forget to go to Indiana Rivals, thehoosier.com. They have got an 80% off special that ends in 2 days? Today and tomorrow is your last couple of days to get in on that. So it's only $20 for the entire year. It's $1.68 a month. So jump on that. It has been a fun day as always. We got to start off with Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, who will be joining us now through the end of basketball season each Monday. And don't forget, he's got the Coaches Show with Tom Allen on Wednesday. Big thanks, of course, to Charlie Miller with us as always each Monday, and to Jim Reamer as well. You guys, anything you guys need to talk about or promote?
Oh, no. I have a shooting program coming out I want to talk about next Monday. I'm super excited about teaching kids how to become consistent, repeatable in their shot mechanics and learn how to own it. I think that's one critical aspect for me as I reflect back as a player, now as a coach, as we talked about, as a former player, now a parent. One of the aspects, I think one of the most important aspects to me on offense, to have fun, at least to learn how to play the game, is to learn how to shoot the basketball correctly. And so I want to talk about that next time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And we'll get that information. Make sure it gets up on thehoosier.com as well. Jim Reamer, I hope you have a great week, brother. Thank you very much. We'll be back tomorrow with Kevin Brockway. Mike DeCourcy is on assignment, so we won't be here, but we'll get some other guests in there, Chronic Hoosier as well. You guys go out and have yourselves a great day. Until then, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.